Long ago, when the drums of the ancestors still spoke and the wind still carried the voices of the unseen, there was a kingdom called Iduro, a land surrounded by red hills, tall palms, and a river that shone like glass under the sun. The people of Iduro were proud and skillful. They were farmers, hunters, and carvers. But above all, they were people who respected spirits. They believed that every tree had a heart, and every stone remembered the touch of the gods. Among them lived a man named Obanla, a quiet, humble sculptor whose hands could breathe life into wood. He carved faces that seemed to watch you back, drums that sang when touched, and statues so real that children sometimes bowed before them. The elders said his gift came from the spirits. They said the gods had kissed his hands at birth. But even gifts from the gods come with shadows. It began one season when the king of Iduro ordered the old temple to be rebuilt. The temple had stood for generations, a sacred place said to house the memories of the kingdom. Its pillars were cracked, its roof broken by rain, and the king wanted to restore its glory. He called for Obanla to help. "Your hands are blessed," the king said. "Make this temple live again." Obanla bowed. "I will, my king." For days, he worked beneath the sun, carving, smoothing, polishing. The temple began to breathe once more. But on the seventh day, while digging the foundation near the shrine's corner, his chisel struck something hard, not stone, not metal, but wood. He brushed away the dust. There it was, a mask, blackened by time, half buried in the earth. Its shape was strange, almost human, but the eyes were deep hollows, and the mouth was curved in a silent cry. "Oh," Obanla whispered. "Who buried you here?" An old priest nearby gasped when he saw it. His walking stick trembled. "Cover it back," the priest shouted. "Do not touch what sleeps beneath the shrine." Obanla frowned. "It is only wood." "It is not," the priest said, his voice shaking. "That mask carries a curse older than this kingdom. It must never see the light again." But curiosity, that small flame that burns in every artist's heart, had already been lit. That night, when everyone slept, Obanla returned. He dug up the mask and carried it home. The moon was red that night, and the wind whispered his name. Obanla placed the mask in his workshop. It was cracked, faded, covered in mud, but he could feel something beneath the surface, a presence, a weight, as if the wood itself was alive. He cleaned it gently. He polished its edges. And when he finally lifted it into the lantern's light, he froze. The mask's eyes seemed to glisten, red, wet. He blinked. It must be the light. He hung it on the wall and went to sleep. But that night, he dreamed. He stood in a field of fire, surrounded by wooden faces that screamed without sound. And among them was one voice whispering his name, a voice low and deep like thunder over water. "Obanla." He woke drenched in sweat. The mask hung above him, and on its wooden cheeks, 2 thin streaks of blood glistened. He stumbled backward, heart pounding. "No," he whispered. "No, this cannot be." But the tears were real. And outside, a dog howled toward the moon as if mourning the dead. The next day, Obanla went to see the oldest man in Iduro, Bobafada, the storyteller, whose words carried more truth than scrolls. He told him what he had found, and the old man's face darkened. "You have brought trouble, my son," Boba father said quietly. That mask belongs to the spirit of Eru-dan, the blood priest. Obanla frowned. Eru-dan. Who is he? The old man sighed. Once, long ago, before your grandfather's grandfather was born, Eru-dan was the king's sculptor, the most gifted man in all Iduro. He carved idols for the gods, masks for rituals, thrones for kings. But pride consumed him. They say he used human blood to give his carvings life. Human blood? Obanla whispered. Yes. The king discovered this dark secret and ordered Eru-dan's death. But before he died, the priest cursed the land. He said, "The truth will bleed through wood, and my eyes will never dry until justice drinks from my tears." The mask he wore that day was buried beneath the temple, so his spirit would never walk again. Boba father looked into Obanla's eyes. If the mask now weeps blood, the curse has woken. Obanla swallowed hard. Then what must I do? Return it to the earth, Boba said. And pray the spirit sleeps again. But Obanla could not. Something about the mask called to him, not with anger, but with sorrow. At night, he would sit before it, staring. The mask would glisten under the lantern light, weeping its slow, crimson tears. And somewhere, far in the dark, he could hear a whisper. I was wronged, find the truth. Days passed. Strange things began to happen in Iduro. The river near the village turned murky and red for 3 days, chickens refused to crow before dawn, and those who passed near Obanla's workshop swore they heard murmurs inside, though he walked alone. Then came the first death. A wood merchant was found near the temple, eyes open wide, mouth frozen in terror. His palms were bloody, as though he had tried to tear something unseen from his face. When the priest saw him, he whispered only one word, Eru-dan. Fear spread like harmattan fire. People whispered that Obanla had woken the curse. Some avoided his home. Others threw charms near his door. Even his wife, Ona, grew afraid. She said she saw a shadow standing beside him one night, tall, thin, and silent. Still, Obanla refused to destroy the mask. I can feel it, he told her. This spirit does not seek vengeance. It seeks truth. But the truth, like the wind, can cut as sharply as it suits. One night, Obanla found his hands moving on their own as he carved a new statue. He tried to stop, but his body ignored him. His knife shaped a familiar face, the face of the wood merchant who had just died. When he finished, blood dripped from the carving's eyes. The priests gathered. They stormed Obanla's home, demanding he destroy the mask. But when they lifted it from the wall, it screamed. The sound was not of wood, it was human. Deep, sorrowful, endless. The priest dropped it in terror. The mask rolled across the floor and stopped at Obanla's feet. Its eyes bled freely now, red tears staining the ground. Then, a voice filled the room, a voice that was not of this world. You dig graves with lies. You hide truth beneath crowns. You call me cursed, but who cursed whom? The lanterns went out. The air grew cold. And in that darkness, a figure appeared, a tall man made of smoke and flame, wearing the same mask now bleeding in Obanla's hands. I am Eru-dan, the spirit said. And I weep not for the dead, but for the forgotten. Obanla fell to his knees. What do you want from me? Eru-dan's voice echoed like thunder. To be seen. To be heard. To be freed. I was the king's servant, he said. I carved idols not with blood, but with faith. Yet when famine came and the gods turned away, the king sought someone to blame. He chose me. He said I had offended the spirits. He killed me to save his throne. My blood sealed the soil. My eyes wept not for guilt, but injustice. For centuries, I have watched, waiting for hands pure enough to finish my work. The spirit's tone softened. You, Obanla, are those hands. The sculptor trembled. What must I do? Go, said the spirit, to the field where I was slain. Under the tree that bears no fruit. There you will find the bones of truth. Only then will my tears cease. The wind howled, and the mask fell silent. At dawn, Obanla took the mask and set out toward the forgotten edge of Iduro, where the red hills touched the sky. For 2 days he walked. The road grew silent, even the birds refused to sing. At last, he reached a dry plain where an ancient tree stood, its bark black, its branches bare. No grass grew around it. The air was heavy, thick with old sorrow. Obanla knelt and placed the mask at the tree's roots. Spirit of Eru-dan, he said, I have come. The ground trembled. The wind rose, swirling dust into his eyes. He could hear voices, whispers of the dead, murmurs of pain and betrayal. Then, the soil cracked open, and from beneath it, bones emerged, hundreds, scattered and tangled. Faces appeared in the dust, the faces of forgotten servants, murdered to protect the lives of kings. The spirit appeared again, towering and burning like a storm. You see now, Eru-dan said, voice breaking like thunder, I was never the only one they silenced. I carry their grief, their forgotten cries. My tears are theirs. Obanla wept. Then how can I free you? The spirit looked at him. With blood, but not mine. Yours. Obanla hesitated, fear chilling his heart. If I give my blood, will the curse end? Yes. One must willingly pay for what the innocent suffered unwillingly. Only then will balance return. He looked down at the mask. It was no longer monstrous, it looked human, sorrowful, weary. Obanla took his carving knife. Then so be it. He cut his palm and pressed it to the mask's lips. The wood drank the blood. The ground shook again. Light burst from the cracks like morning breaking through the night. The cries faded into whispers, and then, silence. When the light dimmed, Obanla fell to the ground, weak and blind. The spirit of Eru-dan stood before him, no longer burning, but calm and gentle. Your sacrifice has freed us, he said. From now on, let the hands that carve remember that would remember us. Tell your people, art is not for vanity, but for truth. Then he vanished. The mask turned to ash in the wind. And as dawn rose over the plains, the first bird sang again. When the villagers found Obanla, he was alive but blind. They carried him home with reverence. The river cleared, the air grew light, and peace returned to Iduro. They called him Obanla the Redeemed. Years later, when he died quietly in his sleep, his apprentices cleaned his old workshop. On a small shelf, they found a clay bowl filled with ashes. And in it, one tiny red tear glistened like a drop of blood. They say that on nights when the moon is full and the wind hums softly through the palms, you can still hear a faint sound from his workshop, the sound of wood weeping, not in pain, but in remembrance. Truth never stays buried. The lies of the past always bleed through time, and the hands that create must also protect. For the mouth that wept blood was not cursed, it was only crying for justice. Please let us know where you are watching from, leave a comment below, we love to hear from you. Please like the video and share with your family and friends. Please also click the subscribe button and the notification bell to this channel so we can always bring more videos to you. Thanks for being part of us.